Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Jasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Jasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan, Radhe. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan, Radhe. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jagannatha Swami Najana Patagami, Najana Patagami, Bhavatu me. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jayam Vishubhad Paramahamsa Parivar Bhattacharya Ashatara Sata Srimati His Grace et si Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jayam Vishubhad Paramahamsa Parivar Bhattacharya Ashtatara Sata Sri Srimati Svangres Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavana Ki Jai Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktavana Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Srimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Sri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Madan Mohan Ki Jai Sri Sri Gaunitai Ki Jai Sri Sri Jagannath Subhadra Baladev Ki Jai Gaura Premanandi All glories to the Samalivatis, all glories to the Samalivatis, all glories to the Samalivatis, all glories to Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasabhutade, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Sunnavadi, Paschatya Desatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayeta Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Skanda, 29th chapter, entitled Talks between Narada and King Prachinabari. This is sloka number 4. Yada Jigrikshan Purushaha Karsnena Prakritehe Gunan Navadvaram Dvi Hasta Angri Tatra Amanuta Sadhu Iti. Yada Jigrikshan Purushaha Karsnena Prakriter Gunan Navadvaram Dvihastangri Tatra manuta sadviti. Yada jigrikshan purushaha. Karsnena prakriter gunan. Navadvaram dvihastangri. Tatra manuta sadviti. Yada jigrikshan purushaha. Karsnena prakriter gunan. Navadvaram dvihastangri. Tatra manuta sadviti. Yada, when, Jigrukshan, desiring to enjoy, Purushaha, the living entity, Karsnyena, in total, Prakritehe, of material nature, Gunan, the modes, Navadvaram, having 9 gates, Dvi, 2, Hasta, hands, Angri, legs, Tatra, there, Amanuta, he taught, Sadhu, very good, iti, thus. Translation. When the living entity wants to enjoy the modes of material nature in their totality, he prefers, out of many bodily forms, to accept that body which has 9 gates, 2 hands, and 2 legs. Thus, he prefers to become a human being or a demigod. Please repeat. When the living entity wants to enjoy the modes of material nature in their totality, he prefers, out of many bodily forms, to accept that body which has 9 gates, 2 hands, and 2 legs. Thus, he prefers to become a human being or a demigod. Purport by His Divine Grace, S.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. This is a very nice explanation of how the spiritual being, the part and parcel of Krishna, God, accepts a material body by virtue of his own desires. Accepting 2 hands, 2 legs, and so on, the living entity fully enjoys the mode of material nature. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, 27th shloka, Icha dvesha samuttena dvandva mohena bharata sarvabhutani sammoham sargayanti parantapa. O son of Bharata, Arjuna, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, overcome by the dualities of desire and hate. Originally, The living entity is a spiritual being, but when he actually desires to enjoy this material world, he comes down. From this verse, we can understand that the living entity first accepts a body that is human in form, but gradually, due to his degraded activities, he falls into lower forms of life, into the animal, plant, and aquatic forms. By the gradual process of evolution, the living entity again attains the body of a human being and is given another chance to get out of the process of transmigration. If he again misses his chance in the human form to understand his position, he is again placed in the cycle of birth and death in various types of bodies. The desire of the living entity to come into the material world is not very difficult to understand. Although one may be born in a family of Aryans where there are restrictions against meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and illicit sex, still one may want to enjoy these forbidden things. There is always someone who wants to go to a prostitute for illicit sex or to a hotel to eat meat and drink wine. There is always someone who wants to gamble at nightclubs or enjoy so-called sports. All these propensities are already within the hearts of the living entities. But some living entities stop to enjoy these abominable activities and consequently fall down to a degraded platform. The more one desires a degraded life within his heart, the more he falls down to occupy different forms of abominable existence. This is the process of transmigration and evolution. A particular type of animal may have a strong tendency to enjoy one kind of sense enjoyment, but in the human form, one can enjoy all the senses. The human form has the facility to utilize all the senses for gratification. Unless one is properly trained, he becomes a victim of the modes of material nature, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, 27th shloka. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasah ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by nature. As soon as one desires to enjoy his senses, he puts himself under the control of material energy and automatically or mechanically is placed into the cycle of birth and death in various life forms. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshuranmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishnam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadasi Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jutapadakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakam Vitansya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Narada Muni is speaking to Prachinabhari for the last many slokas. He first of all given some story of King Puranjana, how King Puranjana is enjoying his life in the city of Nine Gates, and he gets married and he enjoys the company of his wife, Puranjani. Then, after some time, he passes away. Then the wife is going to some other place. She also gets married. In this way, again, the husband of Puranjani passes away. So that is a continuation of the material life where uh, people are going from birth to birth, death to death, in the meantime enjoying to their full satisfaction and fulfilling their desire. So this is the story given by Narada Muni. But at the end of the story, then King Prachinabarishat, he tells frankly to Narada Muni, sorry, I could not understand properly your story. Please explain. Uh, the, at the end of the story given by Narada Muni, the personality of Godhead appears as a Brahmana. And Puranjani fails to recognize this old friend. So that is a piteous condition of the conditioned soul, that he cannot recognize the eternal friend, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the whole story is based on that, how the individual soul is gradually becoming more and more oblivious of his own nature, and he becomes addicted to material enjoyment and forgets the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the best friend, actually the only friend of the soul. So this is a very important story from Srimad Bhagavatam, and Srila Prabhupada explains it also in the purport, that as mentioned here, the living entity wants to enjoy the modes of material nature in their totality. He prefers out of many bodily forms to accept that body which has 9 gates, 2 hands, and 2 legs. Thus, he prefers to become a human being or a demigod. Certainly, amongst all the species of life, the human being is the best. But why is it best? Not simply because it has 9 gates, 2 hands, 2 legs, and in this way maybe better than other bodily forms. But the main characteristic of the human being, and the most important, is that he can utilize his intelligence to develop Krishna consciousness, which is not possible in other species of life. Out of 8 million, 4 lakh species of life, 4 lakhs are human species. Out of these 4 lakhs human species, most of them are unregulated, primitive, and ignorant of the spiritual aspect of life, just like animals. And again, they are better human beings. They are developing pious activities, virtuous life, moral behavior, and they organize themselves into a society where the king will see that everybody is engaged in pious activities. So that is a progressive life as a human being. But then amongst human beings who are pious, there are some of them who have developed God consciousness. They have understood that the whole world is governed, is directed by a supreme personality. In this way, they develop some God consciousness, and they are very careful about avoiding sinful activities so that they, their consciousness will be maintained properly. So among those who are God conscious, a few of them will develop love of God. Uh, that is very rare. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatate siddhaye yadatam api siddhanam kaschin mam vetti tattvataha. So very, very few become really Krishna conscious and develop love for Krishna. This is the ultimate goal of life. So the whole description of how the living entity is falling down from its original position in the spiritual world is described by Narada Muni. Originally, everyone is part and parcel of Krishna. That is the position of the living entity. Krishna Nityadas, eternal servant of Krishna. But because Lord Krishna gives some freedom to the living entity, some of the living entities will misuse that freedom and will develop a sense of independence. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says to Arjuna at the end, after giving all the teachings, Lord Krishna says, now I have told you everything that you need know. If you want, you can accept. Otherwise, you can also reject. That is according to your consciousness. Arjuna is a devotee of the Lord, and he certainly has no idea about becoming independent, and he is accepting all the instructions of Lord Krishna, and he will start the fight at Kurukshetra. Karishye Varshanam Tava. So otherwise, Lord Krishna is also ready to give full independence, and whatever you want, whatever you decide, you can do. I have given you the instruction, you can accept or you can neglect. So that is up to you. So that is the freedom given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to all the living entities. So some of the living entities will accept these instructions and they will remain under the shelter of the Lord in the spiritual world, engaged in the Lord's service. They are the most fortunate ones. And some of them will develop a sense of independence and they will want to enjoy separately from the Lord. So for them also, the Lord is accepting their decision and independence, and the Lord is giving them the material world to enjoy. So you can go there, and as you like, you can enjoy the material world. But material world is not a place of enjoyment, even though the living entities are trying their best. But it is a place where there is constant birth and death, and in the middle, old age, disease, and so many difficulties. So that is not a place of enjoyment. But because the living entity has developed this independent desire, he is given this facility by the Supreme Lord. So the idea is that as long as the living entity remains uh, independent, then let him stay there. And when he realizes that this material world is not meant for me, I don't want to be here suffering all the material conditions. I want to go back home, back to Godhead. That is my real place. So when the living entity has finally, after maybe it may have taken many millions of years, but then the Lord also is helping and it takes back the living entity back to the spiritual world in his association. So that is the uh, very kind. Uh, the Lord is our best friend, but as here Polanjani also has described, could not recognize, completely engrossed in material life. So that is the problem for the living entity. His faculty of remembrance is very limited. He cannot remember his best friend who is accompanying him birth after birth as a super soul. And he is subjected to all the difficulties of life, trying to enjoy the gunas. Srila Prabhupada has quoted from Bhagavad Gita that Ichadvesha Samuttena Dvandva Mohena Bharata Sarvabhutani Sammoham Sarge Janti Parantapa. O son of Bharata, O conqueror of the four, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arisen from desire and hate. So in the purpose, Prabhupada writes, the real constitutional position of the living entity is that of subordination to the Supreme Lord, who is pure knowledge. When one is deluded into separation from this pure knowledge, he becomes controlled by the illusory energy and cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The illusory energy is manifested in the duality of desire and hate. Due to desire and hate, the ignorant person wants to become one with the Supreme Lord and envies Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, the illusory energy of the Lord is unconquerable. Lord Krishna says also in another sloka, Daivi Hiesha Gunamai Mama Maya Dulatyaya Mameva Ye Pavadjante Maya Metan Tarantite. This divine energy, this Maya, belongs to me. It is my energy. And it is very difficult to overcome. Daivi Hieshaguna Mama Maya Duratyaya. It cannot be overcome. All the living entities in this world are controlled by Maya. And how to overcome Maya? Not by one's own strength. We don't have the capacity. We don't have the sufficient intelligence to overcome Maya. We have to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. That is the only solution. Maya metam tarantite. That in this way, the Maya can be overcome by taking shelter of Krishna. So the whole teachings of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are going in that direction. How originally we are all servants of Krishna by constitution. We are eternally enjoying the supreme activity of devotional service and then developing the wrong independent attitude, we fall down in the material world. And then gradually, after a long time, we may come back to the original consciousness as a servant of Krishna. So this is the history of the conditioned soul. The soul proper has nothing to do with this world. But somehow the soul becomes attracted to some particular material activity, as described here. The soul wants to have a human form, 9 gates, 2 hands, 2 legs. In this way, they they will think that they can enjoy in this human form of life. Otherwise, in a demigod also have a form, but their form is also having many advantages, many mystic powers. It is said that when they come down to the Earth planet, they don't touch the floor. They remain at certain height. They will not touch. So they may visit like this. They may be invisible. They can have display many different mystic yogic powers. And they can travel from planet to another planet without any airplane by their own strength. And they live many, many thousands of years, at least 10,000 years, easily they live. And for them, the time is also more merciful, that for them, uh, 1 day is 6 months here. So 10,000 years in heaven. So many, many thousands and millions of years in the same body. But punyek shine martya lokam visanti. Even after exhausting their punya, after going to heaven for many thousands of years, millions of years, again they have to come back to this Earth planet, and then from Earth planet they may also go down. So that is the life in the material world. There is no guarantee. There is no permanent situation. Brahma bhuvana loka punaravartino Arjuna. Even you may go to Brahmaloka, the highest planet, but if you are not there, if you are not engaged in Krishna consciousness, then at the end you may come down. You have to develop Krishna consciousness, then only, even from Brahmaloka, along with Lord Brahma, who is the very great devotee, along with him you go to the spiritual world. That is the opportunity given to those who go to heaven. But even heaven is not so. There's one great rishi, Kshatriya, what's his name? Huh? Ikshvaku. No. Vishwamitra. No, not Vishwamitra. I just forgot. Anyway, so he was fighting along with the demigods against the asuras for many hundreds and thousands of years. Then he became very tired. Muchukunda. I'm not sure. I don't. Is it Muchukunda? So, so he became very tired of this fighting going on, and he requested the demigod, please give me some boon. I have been helping you for so many years. Please help me. You put me down again to the Earth planet. Why did he say so? Because in heaven, the tendency to enjoy the facilities is very high. And we do not develop Krishna consciousness there so easily because of this material enjoyment, which is so prominent. So therefore, this Muchukunda, he told the demigods, then you remain where you are. I want to go back to the Earth planet. And then he came down, and within seconds, concentrating and forgetting everything else, he simply focused on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, and he left his body, went back home, back to Godhead. Pardon? Gardwanga. Yes, that's it. Yes, yes. So that is the difference between heaven and Earth planet. Those who are fortunate living in Earth planet, they can be Krishna conscious. They can develop Krishna consciousness, whereas in heaven it is more difficult because the temptation of heavenly enjoyment is very strong. So the heavenly demigods, even though they are pious and they are engaged in Krishna seva, but they are not generally situated in pure Krishna consciousness. So therefore, here we see that the conditioned soul is overcome by the gunas. Nobody can resist the influence of the guna. And in this purpose, the Prabhupada also has quoted another sloka from Bhagavad Gita. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimudhatma kartahamiti manyate. That the bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the modes of nature, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by nature. But out of false ego, ahankara vimudhatma, he thinks he is the doer. He is not the doer, independent doer. He is one of the doers, but he is not alone. But out of false ego, he thinks that I am the only doer, independent doer. In this way, he becomes overcome by the influence of the gunas. So that is the condition of the living entity. And Narada Muni is explaining to King Prachinabarishat that if you want success in life, don't become like Puranjana or Puranjani. You become a pure devotee of the Lord. You give up all your material activities, even pious activity that is maybe very good. But if you want complete success in life, you have to devote yourself to pure Krishna conscious activities that are beyond punya karma. Punya karma, you may achieve heaven. What is the use of going to heaven? Again, after some time, you have to come down. Again, maybe you have to eventually go down to hell, as Prabhupada mentions in the purport of this sloka, that those who are as human beings, they may develop sinful desires, and then they will engage in meat eating, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex life. These are the sinful desires that may occupy the conditioned soul. Therefore, in order to be completely Krishna conscious, first of all, you have to give up these 4 sinful activities. That is why Srila Prabhupada established, when he started his mission in the New York City, establishes the first center. All these young boys and girls, they were all engaged in these 4 sinful activities, practically speaking. But Prabhupada established, you give up these 4 sinful activities and you chant the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You hear Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, then gradually your life will change and you will become a devotee of Lord Krishna. It will be all auspicious. So that is the mission of Srila Prabhupada and many others yogis who had gone to America. They told Srila Prabhupada, why, see, this is America, so the people here have a different lifestyle. Uh, you can chant Hare Krishna as you like, but if you impose these prohibitions, if you tell them don't drink, don't gamble, don't eat meat, and don't engage in illicit sex, then you will not have followers. How many followers? Maybe just a handful. You will not have many hundreds and thousands of followers. So what will be your mission? You want your mission to be successful. So don't impose these principles. They are Americans. They don't know that. Let them, whatever they do, let them do. And let them chant Hare Krishna. That's okay. So Srila Prabhupada was very strong on these principles. And in this way, he was successful in establishing the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Otherwise, it would have become another Apa Sampradaya, like so many Apa Sampradaya. You do all nonsense, whatever you want to do, chant Hare Krishna, enjoy, chant and dance, be happy, whatever, it doesn't matter, whatever you do. In this way, you spend your life happily. So that is not Prabhupada's mission. Prabhupada's mission is to create pure devotees of the Lord. So, Hare Krishna. Any other questions or comments? Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.